I mean, Kyle, this is kind of crazy because the Kings have been terrible, but as much as I'm not calling Keegan the Messiah, but it's been so bad right now, you could argue that they have nowhere to go but up, and eventually it's going to get easier for them. If the 8, because I don't think 7, but if the 8 through 10, if they continue to kind of mess around, and it's so funny the distinction that always stays between the 8 and 9. The 8 is just, this is why the play-in is kind of dumb to me, because the 8 and 9, I feel like there's always at least 3 games. There's always just an organic difference between the 8 and 9. So I don't even want to bring up the 8, but I will anyway. If they get Keegan back and you can just keep your head above water, I would say this, as we talked about yesterday, that overused word here in Sacramento, autonomy. Do not let the Kings be a game or 2 out of that 8 seed come the trade deadline. Don't let it happen, because I do not trust them. Do not let it happen.
See, this is how funny the NBA is, because it went from our analysis at the start of the year was, man, it's going to be a gauntlet fighting for the 10 seed. Mm-hmm. And now in the span of a month, it's starting to look like, man, anyone can take the 10 seed if they want it.
Literally.
Everyone sucks in the bottom of the West.
Right, but this turns into the long-term, what are your long-term and short-term goals? Now, obviously, you can still, and just like the Mavericks did, you can get the number 1 pick. Now, we don't know if there was some aid there. That's what tinfoil hats will say. But in general, getting the 10 seed percentage-wise lowers your percentage to make to get a top 3, top 4 pick. And the way we're talking about this draft, it's almost going to be, Kyle, I feel like it's going to be hot potato. Here, you take the 10. Here, you take the 10. Nobody's going to want that 10.
Which, even if you get the 10 got you the number 1 pick last year, so it's not like you're completely out of the running.
Right. And just to look at the percentages here, the 10, and we're going in the opposite direction here, right? So the 10 keeps you at 13.9%. That's where the Utah Jazz are. You get the 9, that drops all the way to 9.4. Okay? So is it worth to do nothing? You ain't beating nobody.
Yeah, and every win the odds are flattened, and you're just trying to get to the top 4 this year, right? That's kind of the whole crux of the conversation. But I don't think trying to fight for a top pick should deter you. Just, this is a general philosophy. I'm not even saying the Kings. Trying to go for a top 10 pick in 1 year should not deter you from actually trying to compete, because the odds are flattened. You might not even compete anyways.
But there's a level, Kyle.
There are.
Like to me, because I don't even know how much better the Kings would be, but that Ja Morant stuff or that Zion stuff, I feel like you might be getting in your own way there.
You got to be tanking from the beginning, right? So last year, I could look up the lottery again, but if I remember correctly, it was Utah, Washington, I think Charlotte had the 3rd best odds last year. But anyways, those teams were tanking from the jump, right? They knew coming into the season they were tanking, and this was about being there's a Cooper flag one I'm not going to say, but the lose for Cooper or whatever it was, the poop for Coop or whatever they called it. Yes. They knew going into the season that's what it was. This year, you would say those teams are still Utah, even though Utah's gotten off to an okay start. Indiana, because Indiana is just punting on the season. It's Washington. It's Brooklyn. Maybe you could argue the Hornets. But
Con Kneppel.
Yeah.
He's cooking.
Family hosting the whole team.
I mean, that's what I need. That's what I need in Sacramento.
Is a Con Kneppel?
Yes. That's literally, the dude is boogieing. You know what? Go ahead, Kyle.
Hey, guess what pick Con Kneppel was last year? Number 4.
That's what I need.
You just want, now you're past Peterson and Debanza. No. You just want a Con Kneppel.
I just want a Con Kneppel. That's it. That's it.
All you want. Anyways, there's 5 teams that you know are tanking, and by the way, have already gotten a jump on it. Where I think it's an interesting inflection point for the Kings is Kings are 3-11 right now. Like, if they committed themselves to going into the tank, they could do it. But they have too much talent compared to these other teams to where I think they're and too many veterans to the point where I think they're actually going to try to compete.
I don't know, man. Yeah, but I don't know if they're trying. Their trying has not mattered.
Right, but
or are you saying the trying on top of adding in Keegan?
I'm saying I don't know if they'd ever get to the point where they're doing the Jazz getting fined.
No.
The Wizards. Remember the Wizards accidentally beating the Kings even though they tried to sit all the veterans in the fourth quarter, right?
Did they get fined for that?
They did not, no.
Okay. They won.
They're developing talent.
You can't get fined if you win.
Yeah, no, it was a great strategy. JT Thor hit a game winner is a great idea, but I think the idea is in order to get to that very top of the lottery, you got to really be about that life. And I just don't think even no matter how many games they lose, they're really going to be about that life this year.
Yeah, you know what's funny about the trades? I think the best way to do it without getting fined is if you're trading for someone that is already injured. I know we were talking about, and that's why that's what we were talking about, maybe the Ja Morant thing does make sense. But another guy would be Derrick Jones Jr. Now that Derrick Jones Jr. is out, hey, Clippers, you need somebody. And then once you have Derrick Jones Jr., who is injured, hey, we're not going to rush you back, right? Stuff like that. If you trade for a John Collins who's healthy, I think to your point, you've made the team make more sense. If you moved off of DeMar DeRozan, the team makes more sense. You have Keegan now. There is a level of, all right, this team is better constructed than it previously was, so they're probably going to win more games, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it.
I remember we made this comparison earlier, and it just I think we did this back before the season started. It just pissed me off that I said it. But they're basically where the Bulls were right before they traded Caruso.
Yeah.
Which is they're getting to the point where they're going to have expiring contracts. But in the meantime, they're probably going to be the 10 seed. Like, that's just probably what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Think about it this way. They are 3-11, and their 3 wins were a last-second winner against the Jazz, a 2-point win against the Bucks, and beating the Warriors with no Steph, no Draymond, and no Jimmy Butler. Those are their 3 wins on the season.
Yeah.
They still have the 5th best odds at the top of the draft right now. Because even in that scenario, there are teams that are worse than you with poorer roster constructions, more young guys that they're trying to develop, and those teams are going to continue to be bad.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think the good part of everything being front-loaded is that it's all in front of the Kings. Like, they have another game against and it's funny, we are talking about the Kings making the 8 seed and getting the best odds all in the same conversation because that's how tight it is. But if you look at them being 3-11, they're playing the Thunder tomorrow. They still got another one against the Timberwolves, and they still have another one against the Nuggets. There is, in my opinion, a level of if you don't believe in tinfoil hats and, hey, we're not going to give the Jazz the first pick because they're not tanking the right way. I mean, Kyle, I think there is a level of if this thing is just absolutely fried before the trade deadline and then you do sell off or you say, hey, we're going to just focus on our young talent. I think there is a level of if you sell off, then you can't get fined because you're just playing the young guys. But let's say you're not able to move off of Sabonis or you can only move off of DeMar DeRozan. You still got Sabonis and Zach LaVine. And I know on the morning show they mentioned if LaVine or if Sabonis and DeRozan are gone, could LaVine, hey, my finger is sprained or whatever it is. I think even moving one of those guys, if this thing is absolutely fried and they come to an understanding, I think if you're the Kings and you as an organization, you might be saying, hey, we'll take those fines. We do not care.
I don't think.
It's not healthy, don't get me wrong, but
we do not care.
Yeah, we don't, Mike Tomlin. It's not healthy. Don't get me wrong, but and honestly, it just gets to a point where if this thing is so fried, right? The only argument you would have is, hey, Domas, without DeMar, maybe you look a little bit better for your value. Zach LaVine, as somebody would joke, there's nothing on the line, so you can cook and work on your value. That would be the argument, but I see how somebody might say, y'all need to just chill.
And even if y'all got to chill and you want to go this strategy, you got to be about that life now. Because Brooklyn, they're about that life now.
But that's what I'm saying. The beginning of the season is so rough. They are.
You got to be really committed.
Kyle,
because think about it.
3-11.
Washington and their JT Thors last year.
I'm not saying you're not beating Indiana. You're not beating Washington.
But
you're not beating Brooklyn. But you might mess around and beat the Pelicans.
I just make it to say this point is that the Washington ran their JT Thor lineups at the end of the season last year and did the hard tanking, and they got pick 6.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Utah got fined,
Kyle,
and got 5.
So then go get I was gonna say AJ DeBanza. Go get Ja Morant. There's no good options, Kyle. Don't you realize that?
Yes. Thank you for finally saying it.
No, what do you mean? Thank you for finally saying it. You're the one saying, if you really want to do it. You got to do something.
I'm saying you can't out-tank the Brooklyn Nets, okay?
No, I'm not saying.
They're running out here Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas. You can't beat that.
And Cam ain't even playing. All right.